Welcome to this explainer. Let's just dive right in, because today we are unpacking some seriously deep, timeless philosophy from chapter 24 of Morals and Dogma. We're looking at this fascinating concept called the Prince of the Tabernacle. Now I know, that sounds like a super grand ancient title, right? But what we're actually talking about here is a massive paradigm shift in how we view authority. We're completely flipping the script on leadership, moving totally away from this outdated idea of dominance and control, and leaning hard into a framework of sacred stewardship and profound responsibility.
So, I want you to start by just thinking about this. How do you lead within a system that's already built on order? Think about your own mindset when you step into an established environment. It could be a new job, a community board, literally any organized group. You aren't stepping onto a blank canvas, are you? You're walking into a system that already has a purpose. It already has rules. So how do you navigate that without just coming in and trying to bend it all to your will?
Well, here is the central paradigm shift we're talking about today. True leadership is not about control. It is about stewardship. Usually when we hear the word leadership, we picture that person at the very top, barking orders and calling all the shots. But our source text argues something entirely different. True leadership is actually rooted in responsibility. It's about service to others and, above all else, preserving the core purpose of the system itself. It is not about owning the power, it's about holding it in trust.
Section 1, Leading Within the System. Look, leadership never exists in a vacuum. You are always leading within a specific context. The text calls this figure the Prince of the Tabernacle, and to really get this, it helps to think about ancient governance. Think about the custodians of early temples or the Roman tribunes. They weren't royal dictators just throwing their weight around and doing whatever they wanted. They were stewards of a sacred structure. This leader is a temporary, humble custodian whose main job is to maintain order and purpose. They're bound by the very rules of the system they oversee, answering to the laws of the republic or the temple, not to their own egos.
So how does this prince actually operate on a day-to-day basis? The text gives us 3 sequential steps for leading within an established framework. First up, understand the structure. I mean, you can't guide something if you don't know how it's built, right? Second, respect its purpose. Why does this system even exist in the first place? And third, lead within its boundaries. You don't go in and break the system just to show off your strength. You use your strength to uphold the system.
Section 2, Authority requires accountability.
Okay, so we know the prince leads within the rules, but here's the catch. The exact moment a system grants you authority, it immediately hands you a massive bill of rigorous responsibility. You literally cannot have one without the other. This accountability shows up in very practical ways. It means making thoughtful decisions, no shooting from the hip. It means acting with absolute integrity because everything you do reflects on the whole structure. And it means constantly weighing the long-term impact of your actions. The prince is the one left holding the bag, ultimately accountable for keeping the entire operation in perfect balance. And why is this level of accountability an absolute must? Because as the text emphasizes, structures exist for a profound reason. They have a mission. Because of that, the leader has to actively protect the systems, maintain their stability, and ensure their continuity into the future. If a leader gets reckless and introduces disorder, that chaos directly attacks the core purpose of the structure itself. As the prince, you are literally the shield against that chaos.
Section 3, Balancing Power and Duty.
Now we're getting into the ultimate leadership tightrope walk. On one side, you have power without duty. Just think of those corrupt ancient kings who descended into total tyranny. They had all the authority in the world but felt zero responsibility to the structure, and they just used the system to enrich themselves. On the flip side, you have duty without power. Think of a figurehead monarch who genuinely cares about the realm but has absolutely no real authority to enforce order, which just leads to total inefficiency. A true leader has to seamlessly blend responsible authority with clear, dutiful purpose to stay balanced right in the middle. And a huge part of maintaining that balance is realizing that stability isn't just a static, passive thing. You don't just sit back and watch things run themselves. Stability is a continuous, active hustle. The prince has to actively prevent chaos, actively reinforce the structure, and this is absolutely crucial, adapt when necessary. Preserving a system doesn't mean you let it stagnate. It means you keep it strong enough to handle change. Section 4, The Leader as Steward. This right here is where the text completely dismantles that old, ego-driven idea of being the boss. What does true service actually look like for the Prince of the Tabernacle? Well, first, you support the group. You are the foundation they stand on, not the heavy weight pressing down on them.
Second, you prioritize the collective well-being way above your own personal advancement. And third, you lead with genuine humility. The prince proves their strength by lifting the collective up, not by dominating it. Because at the end of the day, your job isn't to be the final, ultimate ruler. The life cycle of a true steward is really a simple three-step process. Protect what currently exists, improve the system wherever it's practically possible to do so, and then finally, pass on a fundamentally better, stronger system to the person who takes your place. Your ultimate goal is to make the structure outlast you. Which brings us to this incredibly powerful quote straight from the text. Leadership is temporary, but impact is lasting. I really want that to sink in for a second. Your physical time holding power, holding that title of prince, is just a blip. It's incredibly short. But the structural legacy you leave behind, the stability, the order, the purpose you projected, that whole shebang endures forever. So let's quickly wrap up these core takeaways we've mapped out today. Leadership always exists within a structure. Any authority you're given absolutely requires responsibility. Genuine service is the beating heart of effective leadership. Stability is not passive. It's something you have to actively maintain. And the biggest takeaway of all, true leadership is stewardship. It is never about control. Now, the really crucial part is how you apply this to your own life. I want to directly challenge you right now to do a quick audit of your own daily leadership style. Ask yourself, do you serve or do you seek control? When you're put in charge of a project, a team, or even your family, are you trying to dominate the situation, or are you stepping up as the humble steward of its purpose? I'm going to leave you with this final, provocative thought. Take a look at the systems you inhabit every single day. How do your actions affect the stability of the things you're a part of? Are you protecting the order, or are you introducing chaos? Just remember, the path of the Prince of the Tabernacle is all about leaving the structure fundamentally stronger than you found it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me to explore this explainer today. Until next time, lead with responsibility and serve with purpose.